Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the GiriCast on Sports Direct Radio. We are back. Football is back. Malaga are back to the usual ways. However, one thing you can't keep away is us to talk about the games at the weekend. They're going to start coming through thick and fast, but that first one away at Castellon was eventful, to say the least. I'm joined by two of my GiriCast colleagues tonight, and that is Luke Chambers and Alex Ashmore. Luke, I'll come to you first. How are you?
Oh, very good, mate. Yourself?
Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all. And Alex Ashmore, how are you down there in, I want to say, Norfolk you're in now, just looking by where you are?
Yep, Norfolk. No, doing well. Not coming off the best of footballing weekends. Travelling down to Havant and Waterlooville to watch Yeovil lose 4-3. Wasn't the best away day. It was good fun. As they say, the worst part about the away day is the football. And then obviously Malaga losing to Castellon. So I've had better footballing weekends, let's say that.
Yeah, mine was pretty similar, but I didn't go to watch Blackpool away at Lincoln, who got absolutely trounced 4-0, which is always nice. But I did, we did do the live stream, didn't we, Alex, to watch the Castellon game, which was eventful to say the least, but we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. So back to the usual way of doing things. We had a bit of a summer where we went a bit freestyle and did our own thing. However, we're back to that rigid formation, which we need to follow. So first we'll start with the news. The first bit that I've got here is that Ivan Jaime? I can never quite actually say this.
Ivan Jaime.
Ivan Jaime. Thank you to our resident Spanish speaker on the podcast. He looks like he's on the verge of securing a big money move, and a big money move to a very good football club as well in the form of FC Porto. The good news is, for Malaga perspective, is that we have a sell-on clause, or a percentage, I should say, in this potential fee, and it's rumored to be around £20 million, which, if I remember rightly, Luke, you were saying is going to be about 2.5 million coming back into Malaga's coffers. A big boost, no?
Yeah, it seems like these selling percentages, what we're putting in on players, it proves it works. It's just whether it's happening at the right time for us. Like the Ricardo Horta deal, which seems to have vanished a little bit. It shows that the quality of players that we've got or we've had, or the youth players what we've had, adding sell-on percentages really helps.
I 100% agree with it. And to be fair, they're not like the usual 10, 15% that we might cheekily add on in Football Manager. These are like usually 50. I think the Horta one was something like 62% sell-on,
crazy
which I don't fully understand how business happens elsewhere in the transfer market. I can't say I know happens here in the UK, to be honest. But, that kind of sell-on just, I don't know. It seems a bit mental, doesn't it, Alex?
To be honest, if I was running a football club and I found out that the director of football accepted a deal to buy a player, but with a sell-on percentage of 60%, I'd been like, hey, you've been mugged off there. You might as well any future signings, like, here you go, we'll just give you all of that money.
Yeah. So we've paid to have him, but we're also then going to give him a big sell-on clause on the back of that. But I think you're right, Luke. It does show the quality of football we have at our disposal, because don't get me wrong, I did not see this one coming. I think I only really briefly ever came across Ivan Jaime during my time watching him. It didn't seem to me he would be one that was going for 20 million, but here we are. The problem being is that a lot of the sell-on fees either A, aren't coming in, or B, as Loren says, aren't being accounted for this season. So I know you were saying before, Luke, that a lot of clubs around us are starting to flex their financial muscle a little bit for this level, yet we seem to be getting left a little bit behind. If the money's coming in, or at least if you can say it's definitely going to happen, do you think it's worth gambling, now, sort of in the last knockings of the transfer market, to say, well, if that money's going to come in, why not just, have a little look ahead and spend some now to get in some really top quality signings?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very important to start well. obviously not at Castellon, but the next 5 months is absolutely vital. We've came off the back of 3, 4, 5 years of negativity. How about for a change? We think, let's be positive here. Let's look out. Let's see what we can buy, or free transfers, anything. Let's try and push up that league early doors rather than leaving it till the last minute in January. Because I'm sure we're going to have 1 or 2 good players, David Rubia, Ramon, maybe, who teams are going to come sniffing in January. So if we can prepare ourselves early doors, get ourselves in a comfortable position where if bids come in, we might be able to sell and make a bit more money and then improve again.
100%, absolutely agree with that. So we'll keep an eye on that one with interest to see whether that money does come rolling in, along with the Ontiveros money, the Horton money, Christian, the Calvo. We're turning some money over this summer, which is quite nice. In other news, Jesus Gamas is back with the club in a ambassadorial role, I believe. He's had to come out and say that he's working for free, which is quite an odd statement for anyone that has to make in any kind of job role. It seemed there was a little bit of backlash to this, kind of like still maintaining this jobs for mates culture that the club have got. But this is a very good long-serving player back at La Rosaleda. Alex, is it nice to see him back on the Costa del Sol?
I'm indifferent, to be honest. I think he obviously was a brilliant servant for the club. If anything, if I was going to see him, I don't know whether he's doing his coaching badges, but I think if I would like to see him back at the club, it would be in a youth coaching role. I'm not too fussed about this ambassadorial role. If I can't think it will make a lick of difference to anything off the field or on the field. Maybe he'll host a few charity events, which is all well and good, or maybe just a few Fiel Malaguista events where he sells a few bottles of Cerveza Victoria. Other than that, I feel like I might be being too skeptical, but I feel like it won't make any difference at all to the club.
No, and I can see where you're coming from, but I suppose it's a question for you, Luke. Having a personality like his around the place, is that going to help improve things in the club, or are you kind of like with Alex thinking this is just a bit of no news, fluff?
I'm a bit 50-50, to be honest. I mean, Jesus Gamas was like Alex says, a very good servant for the club. Depending on what his role is, I mean, I think in football these days, there's so many roles what we don't even know the names of. If the younger player generation can look up and think there's a little bit of a legend coming back here, and if they can learn from him, then fair enough. But like Alex said, if it's more based charity work, Fiel Malaguista, etc., I don't know what we're going to get from it.
No, and exactly when you look around clubs as well, you do see professionals or ex-players in those kind of roles, ambassadorial, but you also find them in the higher ups, and we found that that doesn't necessarily work either. So it'd be interesting. I just thought it was quite unique that he came out and said that he was doing it for free.
It was a bit strange. It was a bit strange. I mean, why do you feel the need to have to come out and say your wage, what you're on, if you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I think he needed to demonstrate that he wasn't just coming for a payday, so to speak, which is what I think a lot of the accusations are being leveled at him, and even previous guys as well have had said to them. So we shall watch that space with interest as well. Further space to look at, because that seems to be the phrase of the evening. Ruben Castro has essentially ruled out a move to the Primera RFEF. He says that he's still awaiting offers from Segunda, or if you like to give it the new name, La Liga Hypermotion. Just why? I don't know. Have any idea why. But it looks like he's on his way to Huesca for a bit of a last dance with the Segunda division. I know that I put out an opinion this week saying that if he was at all interested in dropping down a level to this league, we should be banging on his door. A few people said that we should be looking towards youth rather than rehashing old songs. But is it any surprise, Alex, that Ruben Castro's decided that Segunda's the place for him?
I'm not too surprised now. I think he's obviously a quality player. Last season didn't really show it. unfortunately. But no, I think there is maybe, I don't know, age is obviously a big factor in this one. It will come down to whether he's still got that pace to keep up with the level that Segunda plays at. I feel like he'll be able to, but I do feel, I don't know whether he signed a long sort of, whether it's just a 1-year deal or if he is going to sign a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. But I imagine this will probably be his last season in professional football.
Yeah, so hopefully goes out with a bang. I suppose it raises the further question, Luke, especially on the back of the result at the weekend. Are Malaga still really liked in a striking capacity? And if Ruben Castro isn't coming back, I won't challenge you to suggest who we should get in, but do we need an extra man up top? A proven goal scorer to come in alongside Dione, Roberto, and Lauren Zuniga if he's still here by the time this is released.
Yeah, for me, we need a classic number 9. I know it's not a big thing in Spain, but we need a bit of experience from that line. I do believe Lauren Zuniga is going to be leaving. Roberto, when we all know what happened Saturday, can we rely on Roberto? I personally don't think so. And Dione sent to play him a bit more out wide than as a centre forward. So if you put them 3 aspects in, it's like who is actually going to potentially get us 15, 20 goals in a promotion plus season. The interesting thing with Ruben Castro, I found when I were reading earlier, apparently Huesca have offered him a lesser wage than Ibiza have offered him. So that shows more for the player, the fact he really doesn't want this Primera move. He wants to see his career out at I suppose the highest level he can do. You can't fault him for that.
No, some players are just that way inclined, aren't they? I think one of the classic examples back here in the UK is that Michael Owen never wanted to drop down to the Championship with Stoke, and he would literally rather retire out in the big time and then go and play football at a lower level. So again, maybe that's his yardstick to say, I don't mind getting paid, a lower wage, but I want to finish my career where it started in La Liga. So, fair play to him there, and we'll keep an eye out to see whether Lauren and Pacer hobble together some cash to sign a new striker, because I think I agree with you both. We desperately need one. Some news for the Giricast perspective as well. You may have seen on our socials this week that we have made a new signing, and it's not Luke Chambers anymore, because you were the new boy, or the new person, I should say, for all of about 6 days. We've just announced that Rocio is going to come on board in a much more consistent capacity to talk about Malaga Femenino. We were just discussing off air before that they've signed quite a fair few players this week, which is great to see. And obviously, in the light of everything that's going on with Spanish football in relation to the Women's World Cup, I think it's quite good for us to, really incorporate that into our offering as well. You guys, just to ask, how excited are you to have Rocio join us and to hear a lot more about women's football from a Malaga perspective?
I'm really excited. I think, we obviously heard briefly and in part last season. And, I think it's a really good thing to have more news out there, because, I can't remember who said it exactly on the Telegram group. I think it was that there is pretty much next to no news in English about Femenino. I think, they're a team that have done well over the last few years, and I think it's a really important thing to promote women's football and treat it the same as men's football, because they're a good side, and hopefully they can push on for another successful season.
No, absolutely. And I think, we've had some of these discussions before where we talk about where women's football is in Spain. You've got those powerhouses there, don't get me wrong, but, it is a thriving industry within the Spanish Football League. Luke, sometimes Malaga Femenino have been the only bright thing about the last couple of seasons, the way they've been playing and the accolades they've been going for. From your own perspective, do you want to find out more, or would you like to see more of it coming through, not just the Giricast, but the club channels as a whole?
Yeah, I totally agree. Malaga Femenino had 2, 3, 4 seasons, it semps like constant victories, whilst we were very much declining. But we all know how big the women's game's growing rapidly. Like you say, with the success of the Spanish team and even the Lionesses over here, I think more and more people are getting involved. And adding Rossio, for me, is an absolute bonus. She is the second biggest signing on the Geary cast this summer. I'm not going to say who is, but yeah, I just want to welcome her, and I think it's going to be a great addition.
Yeah, re-signing Matt Harrison after his long walk was quite a big coup, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So, we had to lock him down to a long-term contract, to be fair. So, yes, keep your eyes peeled and your ears pinned back for more Rossio coming on the GearyCast soon. Just to rattle off the final bits of news for us to go to, I kind of wanted to gather your thoughts on FEF TV. I know that in the Telegram group, there was some really, really bold opinions on it, to say the least. Aside from the obvious, which was all the chaos of actually trying to get signed up, and then once you were signed up, you couldn't pay for it, and then eventually you could if you use a different browser. For me, if we was to take the actual content and what was actually happening, I wasn't actually too displeased for it, to be fair, because I didn't listen to the commentary because me and Alex were providing perfectly fantastic alternative commentary, but seeing the quality of the output, the cameras, the graphics, I've watched the highlights today, which have been fantastically put together. I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think it's going to be. Alex, you've just been giving us a huge thumbs down, which everyone who's watching on YouTube will have seen as well. I take it that your experiences wasn't as maybe good as mine.
No, I take into account what you've said. I think when it works well. It doesn't work that well often, though. And the fact that I don't think I got on until minute 36. As Carl put it, the red screen of death for that long on multiple devices, on the TV, on the iPad, on the phone. Streaming services are always quite poor the first few weeks. National League TV, I remember not working too well.
Yeah.
Give them time and it will come together. But yeah, if I was writing an instant customer review, I'd probably give them a 4 out of 10.
Yes, 4 out of 10 seems to be maybe quite, I don't know the word to look for, quite nice. We'll go with nice.
Yeah,
we'll go with quite nice. Generous, that's the word I was looking for, generous. Luke, I know that you didn't actually manage to catch it at the time because you were gallivanting around Ireland on your day trip with your lovely wife. I know I saw you were listening to us on the plane when you were ready to set off. Are you all signed up now, first and foremost, because I know you were having some struggles with that? And secondly, have you managed to pay for it? And then thirdly, have you even looked at it since?
Yes, I probably could have watched Malaga on Saturday thinking about it. So when it's asking for your payment, I thought it was asking for your passcode, i.e. your security number. Typing it in several times to then on Sunday, my lovely wife saying, Luke, it says postcode. So the first time of asking, I type my postcode in. Voila, we're there.
Presto.
And to be honest, I mean, it was Sunday afternoon when I looked on it and I clicked through 3 or 4 games. And hopefully what you guys experienced Saturday may be teething problems, because from what I gathered on Sunday, touch wood, I thought it looked a very good app, a very good service.
Yeah, I think I've just got this vision in my mind of you sat in a bar in Dublin. Laura is just like completely gone by this. You're raging, going, it's not accepting me. I've used my NatWest, I've used my Santander. It's just not working. And she goes, says postcode there, babe.
That is it. That is exactly how it went.
just go into a blind rage. But I'd like to think that it is teething problems. We'll see certainly next week. And I actually have to re-register because I got the cheeky free trial dinner. So let's get to the 2nd of September and re-register for that on Saturday in time for the Atletico Madrid B
I didn't even see that as an option for me. It was just, do you want to pay or do you want to pay, or you can bugger off.
You just got too much money, Alex. That's what it is. You didn't even see the free trial. It was just like, yeah, I'll take the €129 package for the season.
Alex is young. He's still all right.
Yeah, no bills or anything like that, so it's fine. So yes, keep your eye out for that. If anyone does have any more struggles, do let us know, because to be fair to them, and again, I'll commend them for this, is that when I kept slagging them off on Twitter, they reached out to me through direct message and said, look, email this person, we'll sort it out for you. And to be honest, after that, everything got sorted quite quickly on the back of that. So greasing wheels did us some favours as well. And then finally, just to end on with some actual football news, injuries in the squad at the moment. It's been announced this week that Haitham, Juanpe and Musa have all picked up injuries. Obviously, we saw Juanpe's injury during the game. He was brought off just before half-time in place of Danny Lorenzo. Haitham's a sad one as well, because he's been on the treatment table for such a long time. It sounds like, Luke, that he's pulled his arse.
Yeah, so reading into it, it sounds like a little tear in his bottom.
Right, which is not a comfortable injury.
No, it's called a rectus femoris, which, going back to my BTEC sports science at school, apparently means lower bum cheek.
Right, I thought you were going to say my BTEC Latin then. And I was going to say, they don't teach Latin in Yorkshire.
BTEC Yorkshire. Well, he's looking at about another 2 weeks.
Which is such a shame as well, because we were waiting for him, aren't we? And I think, again, he was another player that we were really calling out for on Saturday, but more on that later. Alex, as far as the injury is concerned, Haitham, Juanpe and Musa, are these really going to change things ahead of the weekend, or are these kind of people that we can just skirt on by and get on without for the time being?
I don't know if get on by is the right word I'd use. I'd probably use, well, you don't have much choice. I think apparently this injury is normal / not normal. Maybe normal is the wrong word, but it happens when you've had the injury that he had that kept him out for so long. Apparently this injury is quite normal to have afterwards. I don't know whether that's because you're obviously not exercising those muscles particularly or often, that maybe the shock to the system is maybe the reason why. But yeah, to be honest, I don't think Musa will be missed. Juanpe, I don't think he'll be missed. Haitham, as soon as possible, ideally, because we all know what he can do, and I think we're lacking in everything. So yeah, I want him back soon, ideally.
Yes, and the one bit of advice I've got on there as somebody who doesn't run around as much as he should do is I could potentially have a gluteus teres if I'm not too careful. But that brings us to the end of our little news segment. Let's have a little look back over this weekend's game against Castellon. So there was a football match this weekend. Finally, Malaga were back on the green grass. There were some other pitches which weren't so green, which got quite the slagging in the Telegram group. So I cannot wait to go across to there whenever we play those teams. However, the first two things I need to get out of the way before we discuss the football is, firstly, if you want to find out more about what it's like to go to Castellon to watch a game of football, our good friend Matt Harrison made the mammoth trip across from San Sebastian, where he finished his walk, went all the way by bus to Valencia, hopped over to Castellon, watched the game with another member of the Giri army. Sounds like he had a lovely time. He even managed to get to the Mestalla to watch Valencia against Osasuna, and then finished up in lovely Benidorm, what he referred to as Giridom. Of which he's probably the king of now, if we're going to call a spade a spade. But if you want to go and listen to Vamos la Estadi Nu Catalalia, then go over to our Spotify, or you can watch on YouTube now as well if you want to listen to Matt's ramblings across Spain. The second one I wanted to really talk about was, this was the first time we got to see the away kit in proper action. Not the pre-season friendlies when he didn't have sponsor on or anything like that, in proper action. How much has this away kit grown on you guys? Like, it just looks brilliant, and Castellon's kit as well was fantastic too. But ours just looked amazing to me.
Yeah, I think I fell in love again.
Yeah,
I know Alex previously said he wasn't too warm into it. As a kit, it looks absolutely fantastic, I think.
Really stood out for me, especially with the purple shorts as well.
Yeah.
Like really looked bold and looked very Malaga to me. Alex, has it sold itself to you more? Do I need to be putting one behind the counter for you at the club shop? Get on classic shirts and get a sponsorless one if you want.
I wouldn't say I'm sold. I would put it this way: I don't think I'll buy one unless maybe I see it. This has happened before. To be fair, I think it was either last season's or the season before where I saw the home shirt and I was like, not really a fan, but I saw someone wearing it and I was right next to them. I was like, actually, in person, it looks a lot nicer. So maybe I just need to see someone wearing it up close and I'll be like, actually, no, it looks all right. But at the moment, I can appreciate and see why people like it, but I'm yet to be sold on it.
I think I feel the same with the home shirt, to be honest. I'm not
I'm
fully in love with it.
What about
there
now,
she
Alex?
is.
What
There
about
she
now?
is.
Is this okay? Are you feeling this? I'm probably not modelling it very well, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It's not the greatest pose, Nick.
Yeah.
Like, half pissed, half got him. Like,
this is how I expect to be at the next Giricast meet. Just like this.
Yeah.
And Alex stealing my shirt from me.
I think I can appreciate its style. I think, I'm getting there slowly.
Slowly but surely, which relates to he's going to wait for it to go on sale before he gets it. Anyway, to the football, as we did have a game this weekend, so let's talk about it. As per usual, we always go back to the lineups to see what we thought about the starting 11. So just to remind people out there how we did line up against Castellon, it was Herrero in goal, a back four of Joaquin, Juan de, Aina, Victor Garcia. Then it's feeling like a flat middle three of Sangali, Juanpe, and I believe it was Gennaro. How could I forget Gennaro? And the three up top was Hernandez, Dione, and Roberto. So as far as that starting 11, guys, I'm sorry it took me a little bit while to read that out as well, because it usually puts it in like a formation for you on Google, but now that we're in Primera, no, just random list, all in any given order. So I just had to think about things a little bit then. Alex, what were your thoughts on that starting 11?
Generally, I was okay with it. I think, now I've seen the first game of the season. It's obviously, your views change with hindsight, but I think I wouldn't have changed. Well, there's a few things I would have made different now, but I think going off my predicted or preferred starting 11 from 3 weeks back, it wasn't too far off what I would have thought would happen. We'll talk more about the reasons why and what we think we should change, but a few things that now we know how it works that I would tweak. But yeah, generally, I think it was a safe bet from Sergio Pellicer.
Luke, your thoughts, and do you think Pellicer was being a bit too safe?
Yeah, I totally agree. If anything, when I saw the lineup, I was quite surprised. Not just with one or two additions, but the players who actually wasn't in the team. Your Danny Lorenzo, your David Larubia and Kevin. Players like that bringing attacking creativity. However, I do understand away at Castellon, it's probably like the old famous English version of an away trip to Stoke. It's going to be rough. You've got to show you've got a bit of something. Maybe by chucking 3, 4, 5 kids, very good kids, creative kids, might not have been there for the battle, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's very much putting out a senior team. It kind of stank of like National League football, as you'll agree, Alex. Very Yeovil of him, if I'm honest with you.
Ooh,
Stick out the big lads. try and defend, and I get it. For me, I can't have claimed to have said, I knew how great Castellon was because I haven't seen him play before. But judging by the information that Matt Harrison gave us in his podcast, and also what we've been told in our GaryCast group as well, this is a team that was built to go up in last season. They're a team that got to the playoff final and only lost out to Alcorcon, who eventually got promoted. And they managed to keep a lot of the players. And I've even seen this week through Twitter, obviously the algorithm showing me what I could have won. They're still strengthening. They're still going again. And, I think winning this league is a big target for Castellon this year. So, I think we could have said a bit more exciting, but I maybe get why he went a bit more humble on that front. But it wasn't long until we were a goal behind. It kind of felt like history repeating itself. That buzz about getting the season started, and then before you know it, we are behind within the opening knock-ins. It was Merahunin who broke through and scored off the rebound from Herrero. Good goal for me. Obviously, very much in the run of play as well. I suppose the question I've got to ask is, who was at fault here, Luke?
For me, definitely. I mean, I class him as probably our best / senior defender, Juande. His positioning for the goal. I mean, the centre midfielder who played it through, it was just a very simple dinked ball, what anybody could play. For a player such as Juande's talent, he should be able to suss that out. The following stuff after that, it were a good save by Herrero. Unfortunately, a Castellon player were there and a Malaga player wasn't.
Yeah, Alex, Luke says good save there from Herrero. Do you think Herrero could have done better? Because for me, the initial shot, it didn't necessarily have the power to test him in a way. And obviously, it's a great save. No two ways about that. But do you think he could have gathered that, especially with how weak the shot was and the trajectory it took?
I think, to be honest, I think on some levels I agree with you in terms of the save, but then as part of the save, I count where the ball gets parried. Yeah, and in this case, he's parrying it into somewhere where there could be a striker, and in this case, there was a player, and he scored. I think if you don't think you can gather it, you've got to make every effort to just parry it. Either make it difficult. Don't just sort of try and save it and then hope that it ends up somewhere. I know it's hard. I'm not a professional goalkeeper, so if I was in that situation, I probably would have done a lot worse. But to try and parry it just away from the goal, so that it's not going to go, to an oncoming player or a danger zone, basically.
Yeah, and I agree with you a lot, Luke, as well, that, Juande, from the initial dink over the top, he should have done a lot better to defend that. And even when it came back down as well, to just block the shot maybe. And then again from Herrero, really putting it back into the danger zone. And then even Einar, who for me was brilliant in this game for large portions of it, he seemed to kind of like push Mejhin to ironically give him more space to take his shot, if that makes sense. So instead of kind of like taking the time to clear the ball, he pushed Mejhin out of the way and gave him more time, which again, could that have been better handled? Do you want to see your centre-backs just putting it into row Z in that situation?
I think one thing what we do need to improve with as defence is our reaction times. It happened 5 or 6 times during this game, and obviously we'll speak about the second goal, but again, it was a prime example of a slow reaction to a play, which it says over the last 3-4 seasons, that's what we've grown to know in Malaga. Maybe dropping to this level, was we expecting we are going to be good all of a sudden, when really this should be a big wake-up call.
No, it really should. And like I say, we almost conceded a second not too long after that opening goal as well. A Castellon player missing from just maybe 5 yards out. Was that a massive let-off for the club as well, wasn't it? In terms of, going 2-0 down, probably would have sealed it for them, really, Alex, wouldn't it? Very early on. You're on mute, mate.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I was taking a sip from my water and it was rather loud. I think I'm going to tick off another Yeovil bingo here. I feel like I'm going to do this a lot this season. Yeovil went 2-0 down to Havant on the weekend on Monday. And, you're thinking you're 2-0 down in the opening 10, 15 minutes. You're not going to come back. Yeovil did, ultimately lost 4-3. But that, I'm a great believer in, that opening 20 minutes. I'd rather just be defensively solid and just stay at 0-0. Obviously, attacking is important, but the more you try and push, say if you go 1-0 down like Malaga did, I think you've got to compose yourself and slow the game down, because if you try and push too early and go for an equaliser, you end up 2-0 down, and then that kind of kills the game. So, they were very lucky to not go 2-0 down. And to be honest, I think if they had, it could have been a lot worse. Could have been 3 or 4.
Yeah, Luke, do you think the team saw it as a wake-up call? Because definitely after that passage of play, that missed opportunity, Malaga really grew into the first half, I found, and went a lot more attacking, and they were really having some good luck down the left-hand side with Hernandez too. So, do you reckon that's the alert that Malaga needed to really kickstart their game plan?
Yeah, definitely. I just hope that going throughout the season, it's not going to become a common theme where it takes us 30 minutes to get actually going. In this league, like you boys said on the comms, it's rock and roll football. And if you're not ready for a fight, again, like you've just said, then if Malaga went 2-0 down after 20 minutes, we would have shut down, and it could have ended up 3 or 4 in my eyes. But it was very good to see the team show a bit of something and think, we're in a game. Let's show Castellon how we can play. And
they really did. And it wasn't too long again after that missed opportunity that Malaga went up the other end and won themselves a penalty. A lovely crossfield pass across to Hernandez, who took it well, kind of tried to cut it back or flick it back onto his right foot, but it caught the arm of the Castellon defender. Clear penalty, lads. No complaints.
This day and age, I think it's a penalty. If that happened to me whilst I was playing on a Saturday, I think there'd be a couple of words.
You think it was a bit soft, Alex, or do you think it was deserved?
I think, yeah, in those moments you can give it either way. I think 10 out of 10 refs, possibly 6 or 5 of them would have given it. Maybe 4 wouldn't. I think bias creeps in here and says, I don't care if it was or wasn't a penalty. I'm glad they gave it. I'm sure give it 3 weeks, there'll be a situation where we get a penalty given against us, and I'll be, raging on the podcast. So I think we just got to take them when we get them, and we'll have some come back our way at some point this season.
Yeah, I felt like we had a lot of them against us last year. And obviously the other factor that we had last year that we don't have this year is VAR. So every decision is being made in real time. And the referee, I think he got it right to let the law. And I don't think it was anything that Malaga did deserve either, more importantly. I thought they managed to get themselves back into the game quite well. Then it's your top goal scorer in the Spanish third tier ever steps up for the penalty. He looks confident. He's going down low, bottom left, and he racks it against the post. And just, I don't know about you guys, but my head was in my hands at that point. It's gone off for more of this, Jesus Christ. But then who should pop up who is kind of really going in its redemption arc with Malaga at the minute? Gennaro, out of nowhere, finishes with a plum. Brilliant goal. Malaga equalise. Luke, were you cheering on the plane when you found that out, or you were up in the air, or what did you think when you watched it back?
I was just boarding, and I nearly got kicked off for being a drunk passenger. Although I never drank, I was so happy. But to be honest, looking back on the highlights, Dione's penalty, yeah, any missed penalty is a bad penalty, but you're talking a matter of inches. If that goes in the bottom corner, he sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. A nice weight, but it missed, so a miss is a miss. But I think Gennaro, why was Gennaro even there for a start? But what a great finish. For me, it really was. And I think that epitomised in his performance.
Yeah, it was a really nice finish, Alex, as well. And I suppose when, the ball ricochets off the post in that way, you've got to be fast to react, haven't you? And, we'll talk more about his overall game later. But are you happy for him, most importantly? Because he's had a rough time with Malaga fans recently.
I'm very happy, and you mentioned that moment on the live stream. I've just found it. For those watching on YouTube, can see.
That is the head in hands moment we were talking about.
I think it was, for a player like him, he's obviously a good quality player. He's not had the rub of the green recently. Had some stick, rightly or unrightly. I think some people will say rightly so, but I'm very glad for him. He's obviously a good player, and I think could be a very key player for us this season. Touch wood, he doesn't get injured or suspended.
One of the nicest things to see after this was the reaction to the goal. Straight over to Malaga fans. You could see that it meant a lot to him. And I think the Malaga fans, I'm not saying forgave because a lot happened, and I know a lot of Malaga fans' feelings on Genaro, but this kind of thing helps, and a passionate celebration in front of your fans, it says a lot.
Absolutely, and I think this is the rehabilitation that he's needed to rebuild his confidence. To score on the opening day of the season, to be handed the captain's armband as well when Juande was replaced at half time. So I think it's going to be a good season. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Half-time did come not too long after that. Pace said didn't decided to ring the changes, but with the changes that we probably didn't expect. Juande was withdrawn at half-time. Right decision, guys. He was replaced with Nelson Monte, or the man they call Monte.
I think it was the right decision. I think, if I recall correctly, I gave Juande a 4 on my ratings. I feel like that was about fair. We expect better of him, whether it was first game nerves or, maybe he's nursing an injury or a slight knock. We don't know, but yeah, definitely not up to what we expect and know he's capable of.
Absolutely. And then the second player, Luke, was Victor Garcia, who hasn't even had a mention so far on his podcast, and we've been on for 42 minutes. He was replaced by Murillo. Again, to be honest, I can't say he did too much wrong, but I don't think he also did too much right.
No, just looking back on the game, I understand dragging Juande off. I don't know. Did we work out if it were more of a tactical changing a left back as well, or?
He seemed to stay in the exact same place that Garcia did, but there was a lot coming down that right hand side in the game for Castellon. So maybe just to I don't know, give him a break. He's obviously not been too involved recently. He's a rather new signing, and he spent the summer, outside of a preseason camp. So maybe that was part of it. But to be fair, when Murillo came on, he performed very, very well.
Yeah, I'm from what I've seen of Murillo, big fan. It reminds me a lot of what Victor Olmo before his injury. Attacking, young, not scared of much.
No, I'd agree with that, to be fair. Yeah, and I think, they weren't the changes we expected, but they worked out quite well because for me, both of them performed very, very well. And especially at the start of that second half, that back four looked imperious to me at times, especially Einar and Monte together in the middle. Into the second half, there was obviously then a huge injury to a Castellon player. I think he was called Raul Sanchez. I'm supposed to write that down before I go, but I don't know if Alex, you can confirm that for me. A big clash with Alfonso Herrero. Both players went to the ground, both in need of medical attention. Lots of gestating. Players telling them to rush it over. Looking back and watching at the time, it looked as if Herrero was not on conscience. And we were saying at the time, he's going to have to come off. Carlos Lopez is going to have to come on. What a shame. Were you surprised, Alex, that Herrero managed to carry on, even with a bit of claret on his head and from what we saw?
Yeah, we were both saying, even if he does get up, surely there's some sort of, I don't know, and I didn't see a concussion protocol test going on. I imagine there was one. I hope there was one. But yeah, even if he did get up for it, we were saying surely he's not going to be fit in a state to carry on playing football, let alone stand up for long periods of time. But he carried on, and other than a few mistakes here or there, I'd say he had a pretty solid game after that.
Yeah, we really did. Obviously, we wish Raul Sanchez a quick recovery as well. We saw a picture of him in the hospital after the game, and we wish him the best there. So Malaga really came out the traps for me in this second half. Like we were saying, it was proper rock and roll football. I think those changes really helped us. But then kind of against the run of play, Castellon scored a second goal. Big mistake from Einar this time, who was playing so well. The Castellon player just gets him behind, finds himself a nice angle and puts it through the legs of Herrero. Luke, do you think there was much we could have done better to defend against that goal or to have stopped it?
Yeah, again, I think it's unfortunately it's a typical Malaga goal to concede. Why is there pretty much two players jumping for a header? Could that have been dealt with a little bit better? No fault of Murillo in my eyes, but if your centre half's coming out to win a header, does your left back naturally go on the cover? But for me, it Reynard's mistake. A big commanding centre half's got to head that away. After that, I thought the lad took his goal very well.
I think he did as well, to be fair. Put it between the legs of Herrero, though, and maybe we can blame him for being a bit, knocked dizzy for not closing his legs a little bit sooner. But I can't say there's too much other than Einar's mistake to prevent that from going in. Alex, it's kind of the rinse and repeat story for Malaga, isn't it? Conceded in the last 10 minutes just seems to be the story of our lives, and again, do you think it deflated us a little bit, or actually do you think it spurred us on to try and go and get an equaliser? Bearing in mind we just brought Kevin on, who we'll come on to a second. Or do you think it knocked the wind out of our sails a bit?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's just that concentration levels that you can't switch off for let alone 10 seconds at any level of football. I think, Luke will know, I'm sure you will as well, Nick, that when you're playing football, you've got to be on it 24/7, all of the 90 minutes, whether that's 91, 97. But yeah, that momentary lapse in concentration maybe causes an error. In this case, it did, and I think just it is obviously hard to keep that concentration for 90 minutes. But when you do switch off, teams will punish you. And if Malaga want to even get playoffs this season, they've got to make those moments, reduce them to a minimal amount, because I think that will cost us greatly this season if we carry on switching off in moments like that.
It really will. Like say, we talk about that rock and roll football, big tackles, lots of space as well. That's the thing I really noticed. It not that I was ever a player that was good at getting into space, but I could find it when I wanted to, and that's what there appeared to be a lot of for me. And where Malaga had a lot of success in the second half, especially, it's just a shame that we found ourselves on the wrong side of that. Just before we conceded as well, Kevin had come onto the pitch and he looked very, very bright. And then we also introduced Dani Larrubia, who came on and was very, very effective in those final 10 minutes as well. Luke, are these two players that should have been introduced early by Pellicer, in your opinion? Because for me, they added such a different dynamic going forward that I don't think 15 to 10 minutes is enough for them to have an impact on the game.
No, definitely not. Like we touched on earlier, I do understand Pellicer's starting 11 in terms of going to a tough place. However, at 1-1, we could have turned the screw on the 60th minute, for example. These guys, we want to see these guys starting, but to only give Dani Larrubia 5 minutes plus added time, the best of the best players probably aren't going to change the game in that short amount of time.
No, exactly. When he did come on, he looked brilliant. I think, Alex, you made the point saying, well, maybe they could be releasing the ball a bit quicker. Maybe they're trying to do a bit too much, but at least they brought energy and impact when they did do that. And obviously, we then see the effect of that because David Larrubia, is brought down and Malaga win a free kick, but Oscar Gil is sent off. So Malaga, Castellon, for the last sort of 7 minutes had to play out with 10 men. And I think we really went for it. And then not far after that, Roberto, almost again, going full circle here, grabbing a potential equaliser, which was ruled out for offside. Alex, it was definitely offside, but do you think Roberto should be really in that kind of position when it's not necessary to be offside, 4 yards from goal, be doing better from there to keep himself in play?
He should be, yes. No other way of saying it, really. It's just, it kind of capped off his performance, really. That was, in this case, not the icing on the cake. I don't know what you would call it, really. The split bin bag after a long day at work. You drop all the rubbish on the floor. That was it. I gave him a 2 for a reason.
Yes, and maybe I'll touch on that in a little second when we look at Chumbos and Biznagas. Overall, obviously, we've come away from Castellon with 0 points. They take the win, but is this a really big loss, especially after what we were discussing earlier about Castellon probably being one of the favourites for the league? You're going to a well-supported club with a very strong fan base there. They played their game very, very well. Is this the kind of game that you actually think, well, actually, first game of the season, I'm glad it's out of the way. I don't really mind the result. Or should we really been setting the marker down by picking up 3 points away and telling the league that we're here to absolutely storm it?
I think as soon as the fixtures came out, this was always going to be a tough one. Like you say, do you want to get this kind of fixture out of the way? I think you do. I think you do. You want to see where your team are. I mean, now after watching that, we know that we're probably not as good, or we're not where we should be. We could have played potentially, I don't want to be disrespectful, but a lesser team at La Rosaleda, put 2, maybe 3 past them, and thought we're going to walk this league. Now it's a bit of an eye opener for the team. I think.
Yeah, Alex, do you agree with that? Do you think this is a maybe a good thing to get this done in the first game and get Castellon out of the way, or even just to have that eye opener of a loss?
I think, to be honest, in a way, it's good to get that loss there and to suffer that defeat, because, like Luke said, we could have put 2 or 3 past a lesser team, and I'm sure there are many teams, and I can think of one that I'm sure you'll know who I'm thinking of, have done this season, where they've won a few games and then come up against lesser opposition and been defeated. And it's going to happen. You can't think that you're going to get 3 points in every game, because no team is going to be a walkover in this league, no matter how small they are, no matter how small the ground is, no matter how little you know about them. These teams will be fired up to play against teams like Malaga, and I know Castellon are a good side. So I think it in a way will probably level expectations, hopefully. I don't know whether I was being too negative, but I feel like a 6th to 16th place finish is realistic for Malaga this season.
I like that ambition that from you there.
Maybe we're not even going to get 6th, but outside the playoffs, I feel like is about our level, and I don't know whether that, I'm sure we're capable of performing better, but maybe that loss will motivate the players a little bit more and make them realise that, oh, blimey, this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be a tough league to get out of, and in some ways, maybe more ways than last year, it would be tougher to get out of this league than Segunda.
It may sound a bit silly, but I would much rather lost the first game than the second. After that result at the weekend, there's no reason why them lads can't come out Saturday night firing, knowing that they've got to put a bit of a show on. If, again, like we said, they could have walked to victory at first game, second game, like Daisy got turned over, and then we think, well, where actually are we?
No, absolutely. And for my 2 pence worth, firstly, I think we've gone, like I said before, head to head with one of the best teams in the league away. I also think we shaded it. I think that we were the better performing side here, and we've been caught out by a big error that we've been punished by. So, for us to do that, I think we've shown ourselves in good stead. I'm not worried about playing anyone else, really. Them out the way, maybe Ibiza out the way, but going toe to toe with them and playing fun, energetic, chaos football. I think this is going to be a very good season. So just to move on to our Chumbos and Biznagas, obviously, just to remind people, this is where we give a Chumbo to the worst performing player of the week, and then a Biznaga to our best performing players of the week. So I'll start with you first, Alex. Obviously, you gave us your match ratings this week. I think I know where your Chumbo is going to go, but you could surprise me.
Yeah, my Chumbo is to none other than Roberto, I think. Nothing went right. He ran about a bit. That's about the only positive thing I can say for him. And when he did run about, he was in an offside position. So, yeah. A 2, maybe even a 1 out of 10 rating for Roberto, the more I think about it. And he is my chummy this week.
Brutal for a man who was in your starting 11 for the season as well.
I know.
Do you feel like you may be eating a bit of humble pie here, Alex?
Yeah, I'll take all the flack that I have coming. I know there are a few comments on the live stream about it. I won't be making that mistake again. If I was the manager, he'd be on the loan list, on the transfer list, and hopefully out of the door by the end of Thursday.
Oh, absolutely. For me, my chumbo was also Roberto. I thought he had the best seat at the house to watch the game, which is basically all he did. Aside from scoring offside goal. So my chumbo would be for Roberto as well. Luke, you making it clean sweep, or you got somebody else in mind?
I'm gonna go a bit rogue. I do believe Roberto was absolutely terrible, but I'm gonna go with Juande because I rate him so highly, and I just think his 45 minutes are a bit of a nightmare from hell. He should be. I mean, he's the captain. He should be the leader of that team. But for me, the quality what he has, he should be shining. And in that 40, like Alex said earlier, maybe we're carrying a knock. Maybe there's something we don't know. But I hope I'm not going to give it again this season to him. But for me, it's Juande.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was one of my dishonourable mentions as well, because I think, like say, getting the hook at half time is never fun. But especially, like you said, Luke, when you're the captain and you're supposed to be one of the best players in this squad. I'd also maybe give one to Juanpe, because obviously I know he's gone off with what sounds like a broken nose. But other than that, it's a bad showing from him as well. So on to Biz Naggers. I'll do the same way again. Alex Ashmore, your Biz Nagger for this game week.
If I was, I don't want to break my rule. I'm going to stay consistent with not giving it to substitutes. If I did, I would have given it to David La Rubia. I think players on the pitch, if it weren't for the error, I would have given it to Einar Galilea. I think he, had a really solid game and showed that he could be a really important player for Malaga this season. But I'm going to go with Sangali for this one. I think under maybe not noted by many. I think he went under the radar mostly, but he worked his socks off and he was there winning the second ball. A key part of Malaga playing really well in that second half up to the second Castellon goal. So yeah, I'm going to go to Sangali for this one for my Bisnaga.
Yeah, do you know what? I think Sangali as well was, one of the most impressive performers, especially in that first half as well. He was a bit of a shining light. Mine's going to be Gennaro. Einar was up there for me too. Like I said, he looked very, very good, but that mistake, and maybe his first mistake for the first goal as well, took that away from him. But Gennaro for me was Biznaga for this week. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, Gennaro. Probably one of the most pleasing Biznagas I'm going to give this year. He's really showed redemption and fight in that performance. He took his goal very well. I think if Gennaro can get ticking, he's the kind of player, the bit of steel, what we need in the centre part. Sangali can feed off Gennaro. Ramon can feed off, and that could be real creativity for us. So it's going to have to be Gennaro.
So 2 for Gennaro and 1 for Sangali. So yes, we shall now take another little tiny break and look ahead to the game this Saturday against Atletico Madrid B.
Hey.
Who is this that is crashing our podcast once again? It's Chris Marquez, everybody. How are you, Chris?
I just arrived from Malaga because we had to pick up my new sexy girl. Great.
Your new car, yeah?
Yeah.
Chris, have you been listening to Grease Lightning?
All day long. And Dirty Dancing as well. That's a different story.
Oh, definitely. Well, maybe just ahead of us looking at the Atletico Madrid game B game this week.
I
Just
don't
quickly,
have much
Chris,
battery left, so I'm going quick.
well,
But I
give
didn't
us
want
your
to.
quick summary of the game. Quick summary.
A quick summary. Well, we didn't look that bad, but I think we still are lacking in the creativity. We don't create much chances. The defense looked good. Midfield, in my opinion, I don't know how you guys see it. Was nowhere. Whenever they put some pressure on the midfield, we seem to give it away on the midfield.
Yeah, I think we all kind of felt that ourselves as well. And maybe quickly, Chumbo and Biznaga before your battery runs out. No, nothing from you.
He looks so happy though.
He just looks happy to be here, to be fair. But I think, Chris, if you can hear us, your signal's maybe letting you down a little bit. So we can't hear what you're saying right now. So we're going to wave bye-bye. Bye, Chris. We'll see you soon. Be back next week. I feel like on every podcast, we're just going to have somebody appear in the bottom of the screen and just be like, oh, hello. But no, nice to see Chris, as always, and especially picking up his new car today. So really adapting to his life over in Spain and now with the freedom of wheels, which is always brilliant. So just looking ahead towards the weekend, guys, it's Saturday night is going to be all right. Alex Ashmore, that was a kind of an Elton John reference. Just going to bring those back in for the season. Atletico Madrid B at La Rosaleda. I don't think this season we're going to be able to do too much talk about the teams coming to play, especially maybe some of the players, because this is very much a league that we don't know. But just to give you some insight on Atletico Madrid B, if you don't know who they are the B team to the Atletico Madrid team, who are doing very well at the minute. So you'd think that their kids or their reserve team would have something about them. They were at home this weekend against Antequera. They won 2-0 with 2 goals either side of a half time, meaning at the minute that Atletico Madrid B currently sit third in the table. I haven't managed to have a little look, guys, if I'm being perfectly honest, but do you know if there's any noticeable players for this squad or anyone we should keep an eye out for?
Well, as long as they don't bend the rules and get Griezmann to play as a sort of tune up for next week or whatever, I think we'll be struggling. I think they'll be they're obviously in the Atletico Madrid youth set up for a reason and playing for their B team for a reason. So I like to think maybe the physicality is where Malaga can look to dominate this game, because obviously the younger and slightly less physical players at these teams like Real Madrid B and Atletico Madrid B. So quality-wise, I think we'll be going toe-to-toe. If not, they'll be better than us. So I think we've got to look to win this game in the physicality area.
So you're saying we should beat up kids? Is that where we're at? Right. Just so I'm on the right page with you there, Alex.
However, we as a Geary cast don't believe in beating up kids.
Yes, that is a personal opinion for Alex. I'm honest with you.
But, no, I'm not advocating.
No, it's okay, Alex. It's just the end of your career before it's even started. Don't worry about it.
I'm just saying, I think there is an appropriate English chant that you guys will know that starts with "get into them." I feel like that is the way I think we should go this weekend.
Yeah, what I will say, Luke, is that we have seen some of these players that come out of the Atletico Madrid B set up go on to do a lot bigger and better things, not just with Atletico Madrid, but also if we look at the likes of maybe Riquelme, who a couple of seasons ago was on loan at Mirandés. He's now playing, I think, for Girona in La Liga. So, there is a pathway for these players. And as Alex said, there was a lot of quality being harboured within these big clubs. So, is that something we've got to be wary of, that we're looking at maybe the next big thing coming up against us this weekend, potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you've just touched on, these are the second fiddle to the Atleti first team. these are no mugs. If you're playing for the B team or in England, the under-23s, under-21s, you should be ready to be prepared. You're the next best of the best, I suppose. I was doing a bit of searching earlier. They've got a centre forward called Salim El Jabiri, and they think a lot of this boy is a fast centre forward. Also, whilst I was looking, I happen to see that they tend to play like a 4-3-3/4-5-1, which I think a lot of teams do adapt to these days. So I don't know how we can work his way around that.
No, and again, it's kind of like in Simeone's mold as well, isn't it? To do that,
Yeah,
they play a certain way to match up to the first team. So I think we've got to be wary of things like that. Alex, how important is it this season? Especially with this being the first home game, that PSR makes La Rosaleda a fortress. I think for every home game that you win, as long as you pick up a point on the road, you're going to be up thereabouts. So, is it a big factor for him to, make a statement this weekend and come away with an emphatic win?
No, I think definitely. I think the great Gary Johnson says if you average 2 points a game, you'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. So if we
Is
can
that
make
another Yeovil reference by any chance?
that's 4.
You just said the name Gary Johnson, and my head immediately went, "Isn't he? Was he the Torquay manager?" But I remember he was actually the Yeovil manager as well. So just reels us in these Yeovil bits.
If we make La Rosaleda a fortress, we can, that can be our, not a fallback because that's the wrong word to use, but if we can make the La Rosaleda a fortress, obviously teams will come and it'll be tough for them to get a result, but then that puts less pressure on us going away to get points. We'll maybe not be searching for the win as much. And I know when teams search for that win, it often, it gets them unstuck because they'll get caught on the counter attack or make silly mistakes because they're trying to do too much. So I think the key is this season to try and make La Rosaleda a fortress and make it really difficult for teams to come and play there.
No, definitely, and maybe the same question to you, Luke. But maybe I'll add the caveat to say it looks like there's going to be 18,000 people there for this game against a Bay team. I think a lot has been made of the attendances in Spanish football this month. I know it is August. I know that people are on holiday and things like that, but I think 18,000 maybe sticks us at the same level as the amount of people that went to watch Barcelona in their first game in their new place. How important is it for the loyal Malaguistas to get behind the side, make it a really hostile place for some of these, not to sound condescending, but smaller teams to go to?
Yeah, I think you've just said it yourself. 18,000 fans in a Primera game, effectively a non-league game. The fans we have is the best fans in the world. And they deserve at La Rosaleda a team who wants to give 100% every home game. And with that kind of backing, how can it not be a fortress? Again, key, we've got to start fast. We've got to start fast. Atleti are going to come and they're going to want to put on a bit of a show. They're not going to lay down. And interestingly, I saw earlier the coach, Luis Tavernet, he's born in Seville. And he played nearly 200 appearances for him. So is he going to come and want to take it steady, or is he going to think, let's beat these?
Maybe you should be the Seville manager if he's that good of a manager. He certainly could do with a new one at the minute because losing 3 games on the bounce is not going too well. But that's their business. Let's leave them to it. I suppose my final question, guys, before we wrap things up is what changes would you make to this start 11 from last weekend? Alex, I'll start with you first.
I think back 4, obviously, I imagine we'll see Nelson Monte come in for Juan Day. I think other than that, I would keep it fairly similar. I think the midfield, we're losing Juanpe, so I don't know is Ramon fit or is he still?
No, it's
not
looking
yet.
about another month, I think.
Okay, he's another month. So yeah, Sangali, maybe even give David Larrubia a start. I feel like these could be the games where these youngsters really come into their own because playing against less physical players like the Atletico Madrid B team. Just looked at their average age for their game against Antequera was 21. So they're definitely not going to be playing a physical brand of football, which helps players like David La Rubia and Dani Lorenzo. So maybe it is a chance for them to shine. So, I think a few changes in the midfield. Diony up top, I would keep. I think, Juan Hernandez played quite well. I'd get Roberto off. I'd get him out of the squad. I'd get him, cleaning the car park or whatever. But yeah, other than that, I think it's fairly similar.
And for you as well, Luke, any changes or more of the same what Alex was talking about?
I totally agree with Alex. I think this season we've got to put our creativity first before what the other team's going to come and do. Let's take it to La Rosaleda and let's get winning.
I completely agree with you on that as well. I think you've just got to gamble on it this season as well. That those youth players, which Pace there is known for blooding in and using a lot of. Let's not forget, use them or lose them in this case. And if they're going to lose the game, at least they'll lose playing exciting football. For me, I agree with you completely, Alex. One day out for Monte and I look great together in that second half. Maybe Garcia could keep his place at left back. Maybe that was just a fitness issue, but Murillo did himself no disservice. A middle three, Gennaro, Sangali, and Daniel Lorenzo, for me, perfect. They looked well balanced going forward as well in the last game. And then I cannot wait to see a top three of Diony, Kevin, and David La Rubia. I think that is just fun. And I think Diony also thought it'd be fun. And obviously his legs were going a little bit in that last 10 minutes. And maybe that's why Roberto stayed on the pitch rather than he did. But I think when you're a striker looking for service, the amount of times that Kevin and La Rubia were whipping balls in, or at least driving into the box where they could square it for a simple pass in that 15-minute showing, says enough to me to think that should be your top three pace there on Saturday. And your top three every week, dare I say, maybe. So, yeah. Ring the changes, Sergio, and let's see what happens on Saturday night, of which we should mention, I think all three of us are going to be available for a live stream, again, providing an alternative English commentary to the lovely Spanish version that they do. But if you're like me and you don't particularly speak Spanish that well, then we can provide a nice, fun English alternative alongside the stream if we can all get on. So keep your eye out on that too. We are potentially also going to be releasing some extra content this week, a little Q&A. So we have asked for some questions. Some of them, I admit, I don't know what the answer is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, but we'll try our best.
We've tried.
Yeah, some heavy stuff in there. So fair play to everybody for getting your questions in, and we thank you for that, because I think we're going to have some fun with this little extra bit of content. And then just to wrap things up, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll hopefully see you on Saturday.
Yes, hopefully see you on Saturday. And to you, Alex Ashmore, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks to everyone who listened and sent in your questions. There's got a lot of us head scratching, not really sure what the answer is. And I think it's added a creativity to the group chat, because some of the questions that Matt's thought of are rather entertaining.
Yes, looking forward to some of those questions, and potentially avoiding a defamation suits as well is also on my agenda, but more to come on that front. You've been listening to the GearyCast. Please go find us in your usual places for social media: X, Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok as well. If you've not heard throughout this, we've also got a Telegram group which you can join for even more Malaga Club the Football chat with your favourite Geary Army. And basically, we shall see you on Saturday night. Thank you very much for listening. I've been Nick Bell. I'll see you soon. Vamos, Malaga.